And welcome back, everybody, to the 2023 Phoenix Media Day. And I'm sitting with Crystal Littlejohn at Geriatric Resources here in the Scottsdale area. And you're actually across the West Valley, pretty much the entire West Valley out there. Thanks for joining us, Crystal.
Thank you for having me. It's
Hey,
a pleasure.
so talk to us about your business. What is the industry for you guys? What do you guys do?
Certainly. So, Geriatric Resources is a provider of aging life care
Mhm.
professional services.
Okay.
And you might ask, what is that? What does that mean to me? And really, what we do is to help families solve problems surrounding their aging loved ones.
Okay, so you're used to talking to families.
We are very used to talking to families. And, quite frankly, a lot of the time, the issues are issues that the senior themselves is the last to know about.
Yeah.
So their adult children are really trying to navigate these waters while having many things, children, jobs,
Yeah.
other commitments that take them away from the day-to-day lives of their parents.
Yeah.
And we all want the best for our parents.
We do. It's a hard line in balancing. You want your parents to have autonomy, and you don't want to infringe. And at the same time, they're always talking about how they don't want to infringe on our lives or where that is. But things ratchet up, and it seems like it goes 1 to 80 really, really slow, maybe over 3 years or so, and then all of a sudden, it's like on like Donkey Kong, and
Indeed
that
it
last
is.
20% is fast and furious, and there's a lot of questions. What are some of the early questions that when people call you, are there some common questions that they're right, wrong, or indifferent? Are there some that you're just used to fielding?
There are. The first thing I would want to say is everybody believes their problem potentially is unsolvable.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
our duty is to have a curiosity for problem solving and to allow ourselves that audience for that individual to say, this is what I'm going through.
That is brilliant. That is brilliant. I one of the most of us that are in industry, and that's working with aging families in general. I find we had a hard parent project, and you've heard me say a lot of times, Michael's, I want fewer sad stories. I think a lot of us share that, and so we got involved in industry to work that way, and it felt so isolating. I remember, and I've got a parent project now, but my first parent project, for whatever reason, I thought I had unsolvable problems nobody had dealt with before. So the fact that you unpack it that way and that giving that great place to allow someone to do that, that's got to be sometimes a little emotional too.
Emotional, but very rewarding, because I
Yeah.
think what we're able to discover with these families is that there are similarities
Yeah.
that we all share
Right.
in our parent projects.
Absolutely.
Similarities that we all share, but there are also unique aspects of it that we really need to uncover.
Yeah.
For example, my mother, I would happily manage her care because she just wants me to make sure her nails are done, her hair's done, and people are nice to her. My father, on the other hand, will refuse to cooperate in anything that might make life easier. And so I would likely hire somebody like me who doesn't have the emotional experience
Yeah.
with my dad
Yeah.
to step in. And that's really what aging life care professionals do. We step in, and oftentimes the message we're giving these clients is the same as their children have been giving them,
Yeah.
but they were able to tolerate that information better from
Oh,
us
sure.
because we have a few letters behind our name, or
Yeah. Yeah.
we're the experts.
Well,
you
or
know.
you also you don't come at it with that emotional baggage of when you were, 19 years old wrecking a car, or
Right.
right, or making some other catastrophically bad decision in life. That we as parents, it's hard to, like, I have 5 kids, like, I know it will be very
Exactly.
difficult. I can just imagine looking down and expecting some of them to give me that advice. So it would make sense that someone can do that. You guys have some great credentials. Your background individually, talk to us a little bit about that.
So
How'd
my
you come?
bachelor's degree is in psychology.
Yeah.
I have been in the aging profession my entire career. I started out as a certified nursing assistant
Yeah.
when I was in high school, and really my career stayed in that elder space.
Yeah.
My master's degree is in health services administration, and I have a very diverse group of aging life care professionals that work with me. Some have expertise in, for example, uh, activities,
Hmm.
recreation,
Yeah.
therapeutic recreation. We have a PT on staff. So we come to it from all sorts of perspectives
Yeah.
that give us a lens that is inclusive
Yeah.
of all of those areas.
Well, and we have a saying that, if you've seen one parent project, you've seen one parent project. But you make a great point that there are a lot of similarities that can be, extrapolated from one situation and offered up in a consultative way to somebody else for them to take. And maybe it works for them and maybe it doesn't. And it sounds like that's something that you guys really, it's a big part of your business model and how you approach things.
We do. I mean, families come to us with everything from dad shouldn't be driving. We're trying to get him to stop driving.
Yeah.
What do we do about this? Or mom's going to the doctor's appointment and she's not conveying what's truly going on with her.
Sure.
And I don't think anybody maliciously goes into a doctor's appointment and lies to
No,
the
no,
doctor.
no.
It's more that they've lost sight of what the issues or challenges are.
Really.
And so our goal is to help build a world around that client that prepares them for their worst day, not their best day.
Well, that's good because that worst day, and even maybe beyond that, their last day, they likely won't be the one making decisions in that time. And so
Correct.
surrounding yourself around people who you can clearly communicate with what those decisions are and they understand, and then you can trust that they're going to be able to carry out those final decisions in the way that you'd want is
Absolutely.
super
And
important.
helping the adult children through the role
Yeah.
reversal.
Oh
I
man.
mean,
Yeah.
that's a really difficult thing to parent your parents.
Yeah, and it's interesting, as we continue to drive and put a microscope over the top of that, and you've got millions and millions of families now going through this situation where they
Mhm.
can't just expect a government to take care of it. They're going to have to step in. I think maybe we'll move that away from understanding that it's maybe less of a role reversal over time is more a shared experience. A
I
hundred
love that.
100% of us are not getting out of here alive, right?
Right.
And so, like, that's what we share something in common off of that. We come to grips with that very differently, and some of us are blessed with, or maybe not blessed with, more days than others when it comes through. And so, I'd hope that we can start understanding at younger and younger ages that
Mm.
this is a part of our human experience, and that we can empower families to not be afraid of it when they tackle
Well,
it.
and
So,
that it all doesn't have to do with the number of birthdays that you've had.
yeah.
We have some clients who are 99 years old and are functioning beautifully in their homes. So we're
Yeah.
putting minor things in the home to help them remain safe
Yeah.
versus somebody who may be in their late 70s who's having a number of difficulties that we may have to help address.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not as plain as this person's 86.
Right,
You know.
right. It's not the same. Right.
Mhm.
That is not a common marker across the
Right.
board. So, as families are wrapping their arms around the situation and preparing for you, is there something that they can do to prepare ahead of time best, or be better prepared before making that first call? Anything to help get their ducks in a row?
So, I find that just jumping right in and having the discussion, because what adult children are thinking might be important might vary from what we think is important.
Yeah,
And there are times where we can highlight for them, okay, let's talk about legal documents. Have your mom and dad gotten that in place?
yeah.
Have they made end of life choices? Have you had the dialogue around, these various areas, decision points, if
So
you
families
will?
can be prepared to have that discussion with you
Correct.
as part, and that's good. I mean, I'm speaking here next month in Chicago at a conference where we're talking about the talk and not with your teenage kid, right?
Right.
Prepared with the other one. And we are so, I mean, you really kind of get, I know from my own projects and from talking with hundreds of families, you get fixated off of that. But that pivot to be prepared for you would be things for, but documentation is, maybe it's around what level of understanding do we have around that person's final wishes, your loved
Right.
one's final wishes.
Very
What have
important.
you talked about ahead of time? Documentation, what's been documented, what's not been documented.
Absolutely.
Yeah, things that,
Because
yeah,
I think a lot of times people expect that things are going to happen in a certain order.
yeah,
We don't have that lens to
mm,
be able to see what will this look like.
sure.
So preparation is key.
Yeah. Well, you also, there's a lot of value I can see. There's a Joseph Yobera I think who did it. He had this principle called to teach is to learn twice. So the opportunity to hand something off to somebody, or explain to somebody what your life experience with your family is and where you thought it was going to go, it gives you a chance to kind of learn it again and rehash and go, oh yeah, that's right. This is where this is with our family. So if you're, if you've been afraid to make that call or have that conversation, or you don't know how to have that conversation, this would be, Geriatric Resources might be a great organization to start that conversation with, just to prime the tank maybe, and start understanding where those conversations really need to go that are helpful.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Many of our family members are geographically distant from their loved
Yeah.
ones, and that is probably the largest percentage of our clients. There are also those who are geographically close but have the other things that life demands of us
Yeah.
that doesn't allow them to do what they need to do. So we are boots on the ground for that geographically distant family members. We're
Yeah.
seeing our clients on a weekly basis. We're reporting on their status. We're putting whatever systems we can in place to mitigate risk for them.
Right.
All of those things are important and vital to the process. So, the adult children who are flying back and forth to Arizona, you know, 6 times a year because something's happening with mom or dad can still be involved in that process, but don't have to physically be here to make that happen.
And that's great. Another core tenet we love is we're constantly looking to relieve guilt and fear and move to love and laughter. And so knowing that there's a
Oh, I
solution,
love that.
and just knowing that we got a solution that can take that pressure off so that we're not working from a place of guilt, hopefully opens that up. Crystal, where can the viewers find you and
Our
find out more
phone
about you?
number, 623-776-3098,
Okay.
and our website, Geriatric Resources, plural, az.com.
Brilliant. Well, Crystal Littlejohn, it was just a blessing to have you and have you on the show, and then walk us through a bit of what you guys do and how that industry works. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing your time, talents, and treasures with
Thank
us.
you for having me. I honor what you're all doing. It's so vitally important, and I appreciate being a part of it.
No, thank you again. And that's going to be a wrap for this session. Continue to stand by and join us a little bit later today, and we'll come back to you from our 2023 Phoenix Media Day here in Phoenix, Arizona.